One of the first constructs for a programming language that we need to understand is conditions. A conditional statement or expression provides a decision point to execute one or many lines of code if something is true, and a different statement or multiple lines of code if the condition is false. The flowchart on the right provides an example of a conditional flow. We will check the condition A. If A is true, we will execute statement X. If A is false, we will execute statement Y. Now, a conditional expression is one in which we test two values. We compare them with each other in a certain way. So we have a few operators which we discussed in a previous module. We have the equals equals, which is equivalence, so therefore A equals B, might yield false if A is 5 and B is 6. We have the less than operator and the greater than operator, so we can choose A is less than B, A is greater than B. We also have less than or equals, and we have greater than or equals. We also have not equals, which is the exclamation point equal, and not, which is just the exclamation point. All of these will evaluate to a true or false, which we will then use in a conditional statement. The conditional statement, as we mentioned before, evaluates a conditional expression. These were the conditional expressions from the previous slide. And it executes the code based on whether the expression is true or false. In R, we have the if statement. The if statement is used to test the condition, and the form of the statement is if, parenthesis, some conditional expression, close parenthesis, and then within braces we would put the statement that is going to be executed. Else, another brace, and another statement, closing the brace. You'll notice that the braces form a block of code, which means between the braces we can have multiple statements being executed, not just one. So let's take a look at the if statement. On the flowchart on the right, we test whether A is equal to 6. If so, print out the value. Our code to the left has A equals 6, and then it says if A equals 6. So if A is equivalent to 6, then it will execute the statements between the braces. In this case, it's print A is 6. And when we're done, it prints the end of program. You'll notice that there is no else statement here, as we mentioned in the previous slide. We'll show that again on the next slide. But if the condition is not true, it will just not print out the A is 6 and just drop to the end of the program. But since this condition is true, it will print out A is 6. Now, if we include an else statement, we might basically use here, if A equals 6, again, we will print A is 6, else print A is not 6. And you can see that in the flowchart on the right. So is A equivalent to 6? And since it's false, it will print not 6. Both of the branches will then join back at the end to print end of program. Now, what if we want multiple conditions to be checked at the same time? In this case, we have our flowchart that says, first check to see if A is equivalent to 3. If it's true, print A is 3, and then drop to the end. If it's not true, we're going to test another condition. We're going to see if A is equal to 6. And if it is, we will print A is 6. If it's not, we'll print unknown. And again, all of the items will come back to the end and print end of program. Now, if we look at the code, we have if A is equal to 3, then print A is 3. Else, and now we will do another if statement, if A is equal to 6. And if it is, it will print out A is 6. Else, print A is unknown. And then at the end, it prints end of program. So you can see here that we have our primary if condition, and if that is not true, in our else, we then have an if statement. If A is equal to 6, then print A is 6. Otherwise, we print it's unknown. R does provide a neat little function called the if-else function. Kind of does things together in one easy step. It takes 3 parameters. The first is a test expression that, if true, it will execute the second parameter in the function. And if it's false, it will execute the third parameter in the function, represented by x and y, respectively. So from the previous examples, this might look like, we'll say a equals 6, we'll assign 6 to a, and then we're going to have a string get the result of this if-else function. If a is equal to 6, then a is 6 will go into the string variable. Otherwise, a is not 6 will go into the string variable. And then we'll end the program there. Now, some programming languages have a switch function, and it's very handy in some of those languages like Java and C. Many other languages, such as C and Java, have ways of testing a series of values against the variable. These are known as switch statements. But unlike switch statements in other languages, the switch function in R can only be used to test a variable and compare it to a value from 1 to n minus 1, where n is the total number of possible values. So for example, here we have a is equal to 2. We'll use the switch function, and whatever the result of the switch function is, it will go into the str variable. So we have switch a. We're looking to see what a is. So if a is 1, it will do the a is 1, in quotes. If a is 2, it will go to the a is 2 that are in quotes. And the third parameter. And then finally, it will go to a is unknown at that point, because it cannot match any of the particular values.